entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart by any means, but I think we are our biggest critic and we are the biggest thing that gets in our own way of success.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Quiet Leaders podcast. Today is our next interview for our Certified Integrator series. I am here with Morgan Ives, who was also one of the founding members of the certification program. And again, I am so grateful that, Morgan, you took that chance on me back in 2024. So let me give a little introduction to Morgan. So Morgan is a certified integrator and social media strategist who helps businesses grow and flow. Morgan partners with purpose-driven small businesses to implement content and systems to build sustainable businesses. So as always, welcome, Morgan.
Thanks you so much for having me.
And I always love to start with your story and how you got to where you are today. So let's hear your story, Morgan.
Yeah, so I started my business while working full-time, and I just will be completely honest with you, it's probably not your average story. I spent most of my life working with adults and kids with special needs. And we had our daughter in 2022, and that fall she got really sick. And we were in her hospital room, and I had to take a bunch of paid time off, unpaid time. And I was like, this is nuts. This is absolutely insane because I need something that's going to be buildable, scalable, something that's on my own time that I had control over. And so I'm like rapidly Googling in her hospital room and I found virtual assisting. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And in my 9 to 5, I worked with women that had been there a really long time. And they're like, how are you getting all of this stuff done so fast? And I was like, I built systems, I've been building systems this entire time, just not really recognizing it. So I got my LLC on New Year's Day in 2023 and scaled it within that first year. Just finding clients, people asking me, hey, can you do this? And I'm saying, yep, sure, I can do it. Not having any clue what I was doing, just figuring it out as I went. And it worked out. And then I got certified as a social media manager later that year, like that fall. And at that point, Molly and I were working with the same client. And I really wanted to kind of cross over, not just the marketing side of things, but also that system building piece for businesses, because it felt to me like I could help people with social media and their marketing. But the problem is that the systems weren't in place for it to be successful, and the strategy behind it and all of that stuff underneath. So when we started working with the same person, the same client, I also really wanted to quit my job at that point because I still wanted more time with my daughter. And we were talking one day and you're like, I'm building this program and I think you should look at it. And I was like, this is the missing puzzle piece. Like, it just made so much sense. It totally just jived together in the best way. And I said, sure, let's do it. So I got certified, I'm pretty sure in your first cohort, beginning of 24. And ever since then, I've been able to really expand my client base, expand my offerings. And now I've been full-time and for almost 2 years in my business, and it's been great. So that's kind of my story.
Amazing. I definitely can relate to a lot of the things you said, which Googling to then land on virtual assistants, really starting because of needing that time freedom for your daughter. I'm curious, how long did it take you to start your business and then go full-time? So how long were you still working in your full-time job to then eventually make the switch?
Yeah, so my husband and I had a conversation and I needed to match my income for a consistent amount of time. And so technically I probably could have quit about 9 months in. So got my LLC on 2023. So by like September, I was pretty much tapped out as far as I couldn't take on another client because I didn't have enough time, but I also couldn't drop down anymore in my 9 to 5 and be considered a full-time employee. So I had to make a choice before, like, I can scale this and that's fine, but like we're maxed out in 24 hours in a day. So I stayed the course for a little bit longer, that stayed consistent for about 6 months, and then I quit. My last day was in February of 24. So just over a year was when I did that. And then yeah, 2026 now. So it was just about a year, but technically I probably could have met that a little bit earlier, but we just wanted to make sure that it was consistent before, I left my W-2 job.
I love that. I definitely think that's usually what needs to happen is you have to kind of hit that point where like, okay, I can't take on more, and you have to take things off your plate in order to move forward. And sometimes that can keep some of us stuck, especially too if you already have virtual assistant clients and you're trying to transition into more of an integrator. And it can be really tough to let go of some of those smaller clients who you no longer align with because you have elevated into this role. And there really isn't a time to say you're ready, but I love that you did put some parameters on it to give you give you something to work towards. And that's definitely a great way to go about it. And I think this is super helpful too for people to hear the actual real timeline that it took for you. And I would say that's definitely it's consistent in what I see other people doing as well. But it can go quick too. For me, I was going through a divorce and I had 6 months. So I'm like, I have 6 months to make income. So there's a little more of a fire under my butt, but I love hearing that. So since transitioning more into this both integrator systems building and kind of merging both the marketing and the operational side together, can you share a moment where you realized that you were leading behind the scenes and not just doing that support role or doing tasks as they were assigned?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, anytime anybody reached out to me and they were asking for one-off tasks, I was severely undercharging just because I was so focused on the end game of a certain number so that I could quit. And that's kind of when I realized after a while, even after I did quit, that I was still kind of in that habit of undercharging because I recognized as the time went on, I got better at what I did. I was more efficient at it. I had my own systems in place on my side of things. And I was able to do more robust things for them as well. And I wasn't getting paid effectively for that. So I think that was kind of that moment of like recognizing like you're better at this than you think you are. And I also think that you're almost coaching people on how to do it because they're trusting you with your expertise as an integrator. So for me, that was kind of like the next level of recognizing like I'm doing more than just task work here. Like I'm teaching you how to use the things that I put in place, and I'm kind of driving the ship, so to speak, underneath it all.
I love that you said a lot of good points in there where people are starting to trust you with your expertise. You're doing a little more coaching and you're starting to do that strategic thinking. And that's what can also kind of be confusing for people is because even though you may not be like implementing, you're using your brain to think of that strategy. And that's like, it can feel like you're not doing enough, but really you have all that experience behind you and you can start giving that advice, giving that strategy because people do trust your expertise based on the skills that you have. And that's kind of those signals of like, hey, I'm actually consulting with people or coaching with people on how to operate or how to do things. And that's a key indicator of when you're actually starting to be that leader versus just being the task doer. So I love that you said that. Now, with being that quiet leader behind the scenes, we're doing all these things that people don't usually see. So is there one thing that you can share that you do behind the scenes that not many people would know unless they're the ones actually doing it?
So again, as time has gone by, I'm always hungry for knowledge. That's just who I am. That's the type of person that I am. And so I find it like a challenge when somebody comes to me and says, "Can you do this?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, how hard can it be? So I feel like I've dived into other areas that have really expanded my portfolio, even outside of integration. So the biggest thing that I've taken on recently would be like managing ads, meta ads specifically, and also as it fits within the social media strategy, which also supports the system. It is within the support system that it's already built. So it is all connected. But I would say the other thing too was like SEO on the back end of websites, looking at the SEO of the social media posts and even the SEO within blog posts and email newsletters. Like there's strategy behind that. It's not just a copy and paste from some sort of AI prompt. It isn't just a copy and paste from, what people quick jotted down in their notes app. Like there's definitely more going on behind the scenes with keywords and things like that. So that's kind of been the area that I've been growing into, because I think the biggest thing that people struggle with in that sense is being seen, and SEO is really the tracks to run on to get there. So to me, that's some of the things that I started doing that I wouldn't say I was outside of my scope. It was just something that I was really transparent on of, I know enough to be dangerous, yet at the same time, like I really think that this is an area I could be good at and grow, and then also add it as a service going forward as I continue to learn more. And I think I'm going to be certified as an ads manager by the end of the year too, just to add that to my repertoire of things. So
Amazing. I too took an ads course. I didn't get certified, but I did learn about ads. It's interesting because us as integrators, we are very multi-passionate people. So I always see people coming in with like these different types of expertise. For example, you're the marketing, social media side with the integrator side. I've also had people in the program who are more so the web design, the graphic designers. And I have the people who are really more tech focused and they're doing these more in-depth builds of systems. I fall more in the higher level management of people. That's where
yeah.
in strategy, that's where I like to fall. But it's so important to recognize the skills that you have and what also lights you up too, because you don't want to just be doing something because you're good at it. For example, I'm good at hiring, but I do not like doing it. So I tend not to do that. So I always say, go with what lights you up, and you're going to attract those clients who need those specific skills that you have, with also having that integrator brain, which is super important. So actually inside the program, I break down the different kind of types of integrators that there are and where you kind of fit. I call myself a hybrid integrator because I have both the visionary kind of side and also integrator side, and mine are I'm kind of right in the middle. So you're definitely more that creative integrator where you do the social media side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to when you were talking about your story and how you really kind of saw this gap of that the marketing's not going to work if the systems weren't in place. And I do think that's important to realize. And I've done a lot of that with clients that I've worked. I don't do the actual social content, but I have implemented the systems and the structure to make the marketing work and be that sustainable way, because marketing can take a whole life of its own and can cause people to burn out. So having those systems are super important. So going back to, as an integrator, it is important to kind of have that well-rounded knowledge of all the little things, but then whatever lights you up, you can go deeper into that expertise, which is definitely what you've done with the ads, the SEO, the social, all of that, which is awesome. All right. So another thing that I see is going through all of this, figuring it all out, kind of learning what you're good at and what you want to do. One thing that happens with no matter what you're doing, so in any business, is those kind of mindset shifts that need to happen. And this is the one thing that surprised me the most about becoming an entrepreneur is the personal development journey that was kind of required in order to keep going forward. So I'm curious if you can share any internal shifts that you had to make that really changed the way you showed up in your business.
Yeah. So I think entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart by any means, but I think we are our biggest critic, and we are the biggest thing that gets in our own way of success, truly. And the reason I say that is because I firmly believe in what you think about, you bring about, and the attraction of the right people, into your business. And, when somebody for whatever reason, maybe their project is done or they no longer feel like it's a good fit or their goals have changed or financially it's a problem to keep you on. We've all seen a variety of reasons why we've had to let clients go. And knowing that the right person is already on its way and having those personal development shifts of like, like we're not panicking. We're not panicking about, the fact that that person hasn't come yet. It's opening space for something greater to come in. And I try to have those mental shifts. Is it perfect all the time? Absolutely not. But I do believe that working on your mindset as an entrepreneur is crucial because nobody's telling you to get up in the morning and it's all intrinsic motivation. It all has to happen from within. So it's reading the books, it's listening to the podcast, it's doing the affirmations, it's making sure that you are confident in what you offer. And then if not, getting really curious about that and saying, what am I being called to change? How am I being called to show up? Should I be posting about this? And I think that that's where kind of going into this piece too, you had an email newsletter that came out, I don't know if it was this week or last, but basically about putting everybody else first. And I think that has been something I've battled with for a really long time is, I'll finish all my client work first, and then at that point, I don't take the time to market my own business as well as I should. Even though I'm fully capable and I know how to do it, I don't take the time to do that. And that is also a mindset shift of I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't grow with an empty pipeline. I can't scale without having consistent networking opportunities and those types of things. And so I think those are the mindset shifts that I've had to deal with the most is not only the personal stuff, but also on the business side of things. It's like, it's not selfish to put yourself first and to really make sure that you're still communicating what you offer, because ultimately that is your opportunity to tell other people that your doors are open. And business doesn't just quit when you have a full client load. People are going to ask you questions, and that's when you build a wait list, and that's when you look at maybe hiring somebody else on. Like those are the scaling opportunities that you're missing if your mindset isn't in check.
Those are all really, really good things. And I definitely will say I am for sure my biggest critic and what has held me back. And like you said, it's so important to recognize that you're doing that so then you can change the way you think, because your thoughts truly can manifest, and that's what can keep you stuck. So like you said, doing the affirmations, having those mantras, and really just being aware of how you're showing up, because the energy you bring that's what you're going to attract. So if you're showing up, like you said, open and just ready for a new opportunity and excited, and you're going to attract those good things versus if you are being your own critic and all of that. So
I would
these are all
also
great
say,
things.
sorry, can I add one thing? I think
Yeah,
too,
for
if
sure.
you're stressed and you're overwhelmed and you're, kind of feeling a little crazy internally, those are the types of visionaries that you're going to attract into your business, and it's going to make it worse for both you and them, and it's probably not going to work out. So by working on yourself first and going off what you're saying about attracting the right people, it's not just your ideal client and it's not just for them, it's also for you. Like you can't show up as your best self as an integrator to help support them if you're already maxed out mentally and you don't take care of yourself first, because again, that's who's going to come into your business, and it's going to be super triggering for you because it's mirroring exactly what you bring to the table, and it's not okay. So I don't think that's how any of us want to show up. So anyway, I just wanted to add that piece in there too, that it's not even just intrinsic, it's also outside of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. That is exactly what it is. And I always say, like, you want to be the leader of your own life, and you need to do that first. And if you're doing that, then that's when those things come in that's meant for you. So super, super important. And we could totally go off on a whole tangent just on that.
For sure.
I love. And I will say too, that is truly the key. That was the key in my business to getting to where I am today, is I did the systems, I did the baseline and the learning, but then what took me to the next level was the mindset stuff, was really taking a look inward so that I could then change my world outward. So super, super important things
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Awesome. So I do have one final question for you, and that is, do you have any other advice for the quiet leaders who are navigating growth behind the scenes?
Um, these are deep questions, Molly. I love it though. I think sometimes it's easy when you are in the background to lose yourself. And so I think that one of the things that I'm really passionate about is mental wellness and how important it is specifically as an entrepreneur. And we already kind of talked about mindset, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but just don't undervalue the importance of taking care of yourself when you're in the background, because burnout can happen fast and your dreams can evaporate right in front of your eyes then. And nobody can really tell what that's like unless you're in it or have been in it. And as somebody that has been that way and stressed and maxed out and all of the things, I would encourage you to look at what are you charging, number one, and also look at your confidence level and what you're doing, and know that if I can do it, so can you. Honestly, I know that sounds super cliche, but I think that's really important to know that if somebody that has had zero education, I don't have any like marketing degree or anything like that, can build something and be confident in what I'm able to provide people because it's just a gift that I've been given, like many of you, then I think to have confidence in that is how you're going to scale and grow. And then just make sure you really take care of the cup that you pour from.
I love that. And now, Morgan, you do a lot of things. So you're not just supporting clients in both the marketing and the integrator side, but you did mention how you're also passionate about mental health and just being healthy and all of that. Do you want to share a little bit about all the other things you do? Because I do think it's important to recognize that you're doing a lot. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to us being multi-passionate and how important it is to do the things that light us up, whether that's working with a visionary who is doing that kind of thing, or you're also creating another thing on the side while supporting others. So do you want to touch on that at all? You're welcome to
Yeah,
share.
so Molly's asking this question because she knows of my deep, deep want to build a personal brand and really support other moms as well. So, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but that's only half of my story. I mentioned being a mom before. And for me, when our daughter got really sick, mentally, my mental health really started to decline. I was extremely anxious. And at the same time, I was building a business that was foreign territory to me. And so, over the last 2 years that I have been full time, I've gone through a lot of physical health because some of this stuff, again, has manifested. So, I think that becoming an integrator and going through everything that I have all happened for a reason. It truly always happens for a reason. But for me, it gave me everything I need to build a personal brand confidently because I already know how to do it. For me, it's just taking the time to do so. But I have a real passion for helping other moms with their mental wellness. I started doing some UGC work with some products that I use and some tools that I use that are really kind of like a mental health toolkit for me, things that I continue to go back to so that I can show up as my best self. Because if I can take care of myself, I get to show up as my best self as a wife, as a mom, and as a business owner for my clients too. And it's funny, talking about the clients that you attract, most of them can tell because I worked with them so long. They're like, "Are you okay today?" And I'm like, "Everything's fine." Is it fine? Jury's out depending on the day. However, like it's a signal for me that I need to do some work internally. I have to do the work in order to show up differently. And so I'm grateful for the opportunities to really launch this. I've taken some steps. I've built the website, I've done the SEO work, I have all of the plans for the email newsletters and the blog posts and the sharing of that and my dream brands that I would love to work with, all of those things, because I am multi-passionate. And I think just even being a business owner, I'm always a mom first. And for me, I can't, I built this business to be the best mom I can and to have more time with her. And so that's definitely like my main focus. But at the same time, you coined it just perfectly. What did you say? What type of businesses? Purpose driven businesses is what you put in the bio. And I think that's so huge for me too, because I love to work with people that are making waves, that are making a difference, that are showing up differently in their lives. And so, I work with a skincare brand right now, for example, and the fact that I get to see some of the testimonials that are coming in, that, my skin has never looked like this before, I'm seeing such incredible results, or those types of things. Like, I get to help do that in the background. Like, I get to help people by the stuff that I've done, help people feel like their best selves. I worked with another company that was able to like make moccasins for people that have like club feet. Like, I was able to post about that and share that story, which gained them a ton of traction because of the fact that barefoot shoes are in and all of those things. Like, it's just amazing how it all has connected for me. And I'm really passionate about working with not only brands, but individuals and clients as their integrator that are wanting to make a big impact. And because they have such a calling and a purpose on their business, that I get to help kind of push that forward in the back end.
I love that. And that's exactly why I say it's so important to be aligned with your client's mission and vision, because as long as you're working on their business, then you're getting to help make this really incredible impact that they're doing, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching you grow, Morgan, and all the things that you're going to do. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing that. Where can people find you on social?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find my website at thevirtualcollectivellc.com. There's all my contact information is on there. You can find me on Instagram, again, the Virtual Collective LLC. Otherwise, my personal is the Morgan Ives on Instagram. So feel free to shoot me a message over there or send me an email, which is also on my website, and I'd be happy to connect with you.
Amazing. And we'll link all of that in the show notes for ease. Again, thank you, Morgan, for sharing your story. I know this is going to be super great for everyone to hear. So that wraps up another awesome episode of the Quiet Leaders podcast, and I will see you on the next episode.